Hey, it's Sunday and here we go. I hope everyone is well. I'm just going to move myself into the frame a little bit better. How are we all this week? Have you had a good weekend? Hey there, ladies. I see everyone is here already. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are here already. And you've been chatting for a while without me. Also, I see this. Still be awake to see us for about another 1 to 1.5 hours. Jean, that's great. We missed you Friday. And I totally understand. I can't be too long tonight because I've actually got to go and pick up my son from work. And I told him he works at KFC and his shift finishes at 8:30. And I said, look, I probably won't be there at 8:30, but go and get yourself some chippies or something to eat, and I'll be there as soon as I can. So he was completely fine with that because I'm paying. So, how are we all? I hope you're good. Has anyone had anything exciting going on over the weekend? It's a long weekend here in New South Wales and all of Australia, actually. This is our Anzac Day weekend. And for those of you international girls who don't know what that is, it's like your Veterans Day, I believe. I think. I get the two mixed up, Memorial Day and Veterans Day, but I'm pretty sure it's like Veterans Day. So it's where we honour our soldiers, and in particular the ones who landed at Gallipoli in the early hours of April 25, 1915. So it's a big deal day for us. We remember our fallen soldiers and we honour them. So that's why we have Anzac Day. And Anzac stands for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, because it's also we have fought together in a couple of world wars now. So the two corps together, Australia and New Zealand, are we consider them our brothers. So anyone else want to add to anything I've said there? Any chocolate left, Cherie? Well, that's a question for Cherie. I see the answer though. That's nice. It's really lovely that you guys all get in here and chat even before I'm here. So I like that this system allows me to set the room up early so you guys can arrive early and chat if you want to. Yes, hello Subu. Cookie and I are well. He's quiet tonight. Well, that could change at any second, but right now he's quiet. I'm just reading all the comments. Now, tonight we're actually doing a technique, and this is by special request. Now, Cherie, you were hoping we'll get to some bleaching. We're not going to get to that tonight. I'm going to do Jodie's request tonight for mirror image cards or mirror stamping, and we will get to your bleaching next weekend. So that's my plan. That's what I'd like to do. Yeah, I saw that Jodie won something, but I didn't understand what she won. Someone like to fill me in? Ooh, I like your prize though, Jodie. That's nice. 6 bottles of wine. That's not a bad prize. Good evening. It's nice, isn't it, that you guys all get to chat? Hello, everyone. You don't like the new format of YouTube? Maybe you can change it back? I don't know. Goodness me, you guys chat so fast I can't even keep up with all the comments. All right, I think I'm caught up. Right. Well, I thought I might do it as bleaching is a really good topic for a training, or I've done it as a class before, but I haven't done it on one of my lives, so it would be fun to do on a live. And I can't wait to be surprised, as you promised me I would be. You're going to the dawn service? Well, we won't go late for that reason as well. So I'm not going to make the dawn service in the morning. My husband's actually working tonight. He works until 5 a.m. and so he's trying to get all the areas of his job that don't require him to be close to where a dawn service may be. He's going to try and get them all finished early in the night. So that otherwise he'll have a little bit of an issue with traffic and so forth in the morning, because I said, expect there'll be a lot of traffic in the morning. The dawn service is always very moving, and I've always been very glad every year I've gone, even though even though I'm not doing it tomorrow morning. I've certainly, and a couple of years ago, does anyone else remember we did, when we were all in lockdown, and we did kind of dawn service at the end of our driveways. We all went out with our candles, and I remember up and down the street you could see all the lights as people stood at the end of their driveways for the Anzac Day, and you could hear, it was really haunting, you could hear the last post playing. So it was beautiful. All right, let's get started. I will switch over to my desk and let's see what we have. All right, so I'm going to do, as Jody has requested, I'm going to do mirror stamping tonight. So some of you may have seen I posted the card that I want to make, or the first card I want to make with this technique, earlier today, and this is it. You did your driveway last time too, Jody. It was beautiful. I know, I actually really loved being out. It was really haunting being able to hear the trumpet. Oh, is it a trumpet? Have I got that right? No, it's not a trumpet. What am I trying to say? But hearing it played. Yeah, Kookaburra's laughing. Well, that would be very Australian. Kind of nice too. Yeah. So, all right, this is the card that we're going to make first. And there are actually a couple of different methods of mirror stamping. I've decided also, seeing as I prepared, I did a bit of playing around with it today, I decided that it would be a great topic for my my March technique classes here in the studio. So the girls who come to my March technique classes, or whatever classes each month, the monthly classes, most of them, except for a couple, most of them aren't actually watching my lives. They're people who just prefer in person. They don't do online very much. I do have a couple, and if Michelle is here, she would know, because she usually comes to my studio to do a class. We might do this exact card, or we might do something, a variation on it. I'd probably do a variation on it, but we'll see. So this is one of the cards. And because, like I said, most of the girls don't watch the lives, they won't mind if I duplicate something. Don't worry, Michelle, I'll look after you. We'll do, yep, there you are. We'll, oh, it's a bugle. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you. Bugle. Yes. Thank you. All right, so this is the Mountain Air stamp set. It is continuing, this one. It's not retiring. It's continuing into the new catalogue. And I'm really glad, because I really like it. And yes, not the other Michelle. Not Michelle Kasboom. It's the other Michelle O'Donoghue. So there you go. So there's some really, really nice stamps in this. And this is actually what they call a reversible set. Okay, and that is because you can use both the positive and, well, both sides of the stamp. Okay, it is photopolymer, but it's very useful. There's a lot of things you can do with this. So you actually have to make sure you're actually stamping the right side. One side's got the detail of the mountains and the other side's flat. And so on this card, I've actually done the detail in the darker blue, and this is the new blue. This is the starry sky. So I used a new color for this, but you could get the same effect in navy. Navy would look nice. It just wouldn't be quite as bright, but it's still really nice. And then I did the orchid, which is the lighter, more purpley color. I did the back of the stamp, filled in the detail, so that's why it doesn't look white. It's actually the orchid that I've used over the top. So let's do that first, and I'll show you how it works. Now, I did this one on basic white cardstock, but to be honest, that's not the best. What do you do if using not a mirrored stamp? Not sure what you mean. This is not what I would call, this is just it's not a mirrored stamp. It's just even though it's reversible, this would work equally well if you're just using a normal stamp. Okay, so stay with me, because I'm going to, like I said, show you a couple of different ways that you can do this. Okay, so we're going to, for this technique, you need acetate. And like I said, I'm using this one, I use basic white, but to be honest, it looks better if you use shimmery white. Now, this is shimmery white. It's a slightly different, I don't know if you can see it. Let me put it against some basic white. Can you see the difference in the colors? This is a little bit more creamy in color. Okay, so the white will work, but it's a thinner, more compressed cardstock, whereas this will hold water a little better. And I am actually going to use water on this card. So you don't have to when you're doing mirror stamping, but that's something that I added to get my watery look. Down here I used a water painter. So when I do that, I prefer to use something a little, you could go up to watercolor paper, which is even more robust, but if you want it to be really smooth and flat, then shimmery white is your best bet. Okay, I use shimmery white in place of watercolor paper quite often. Sure, it doesn't hold water as well as watercolor paper, but it still does a pretty good job. Okay, so I'm going to ink this up with my, so this is a bit of a sneak peek we're getting of new colors. So these colors aren't actually available yet, but you could, if you wanted to make it now, you could do equally well in navy or any dark blue. All right, so I've just inked this up, and I'm actually going to put it, sort of up towards the top. I'm not going to put it right halfway. Let's pop that there, and you can see it's straight away. It's just a really nice stamp. Now with this one, I actually went off the edges, and I did that by re-inking, and I inked up again and went over this edge, and then I inked up again and did over this edge. Okay, I mean, we can do that, but you don't need to. You can, I'm just going to do the middle part for this one. All right, so while we're here, maybe not, I've got a piece of acetate, and this is just normal window sheet that we have in our catalogue. Really handy stuff to have. Great for making window cards, great for doing a whole bunch of different techniques. But this technique works really well on this. So I'm going to ink up my stamp again. All right. And I'm going to stamp it right here. And you want it, when you do this, you can actually slip. So just want to be really careful and go straight down. And you don't want to slip because you don't want to smudge your stamp. All right, I've just now got this on this piece of acetate. Now, this is still going to be fairly dark, okay, because my stamp pad is quite inky. If you were using a stamp pad that was a little bit less ink on sitting on the surface of the pad, you might want to use the other method that I'm going to show you, because but also I don't really mind if this doesn't give me quite as full strength as my original stamp, because this is going to be the reflection. Okay, this is actually going to be in water, so I don't care if it's a little bit blurry. I don't care if it's a little bit fainter, because it actually looks better that way, because it's actually a reflection in the water. So all you do is we flip it over. So we've stamped here, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to put this so it's just below, a little bit of a gap in the middle there, and I'm just going to push my fingers over it and then carefully lift that off. All right, can you see straight away it's like we have a reflection? Okay. Cherie, that's my other method. There are two methods and you use them at different times. Now this one with the acetate is better to use if you're doing a watery scene or something like this, because it's going to give me a slightly less, see how it's not quite as dark and it's not quite as distinct. It's got a tiny little bit of less distinction about it, which is perfect because that makes it look more like a reflection. Okay. Now I'm actually going to clean the stamp off. So you just have to trust me. There are two different ways to use this. All right. What did you just put away today? All right. I'm going to clean this off. So I prefer the acetate if I'm trying to get a reflection in water. All right. Now I'm going to turn this over. That's the side I just used. I'm going to turn it over and use it the other way. So now I've got the back of the stamp facing up, not the detail side. And I'm going to use my Orchid Oasis, the new color, for this to fill my mountains in. All right, now it's very, very wet. So I'm actually going to stamp this off, all right, because I don't want it that dark. That would look crazy. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to come in. Where is it? Where's it going to look best? About there. And I'm going to kind of color in my mountains. I just want to give them a little bit of color. All right, like that. Does that make sense? So now they're not as blue and white. Now they've actually got a little bit of color to them. These ones are going to leave as they are though. All right, let's just set that aside. Close this one up. So this is super easy. The third colour I used in this is another new ink colour. This one's the Tahitian Tide. Okay, and I'm actually going to do my water with that. And that you can see here, I've just gone over it. I've used a water painter for this. So I'm opening this up and I'm going to grab my water painter if I can. Here it is. Make sure I've got enough water in there. Yep. Make sure there's some water running out. The end, give it a squeeze. Here it comes. There we go. All right, I'm going to use a block, a smaller block, and I'm going to dip it straight into my Tahitian Tide. Now you might notice I've got a little bit of a gap, and that's actually how I wanted it. A little bit of a gap between can give you the look of like sand in the distance or something going on. I'm actually going to dip my water painter and squeeze it so I get a few drops coming out because I want it to be quite wet. All right, and I'm going to start over here on the left hand side and I'm just going to zip across. Now because we're using shimmery white, this will hold the water quite well. And now it's going to pick up a little bit of the blue ink that we've already got down, which is going to further make it look a little bit blurry. So it won't be as true the Tahitian Tide because it's mixed with the other colour. All right, and it just looks like that. So you can see I've got a little bit of a gap here between the two. Looking good though, right? Looks really nice. I know the ink colours are lovely. They really are. All right, let's clean off my block. Hang on 1 second. I'm not sure where I put. Oh, look what I found, an Easter egg. Ha. I have to save that for later. You can't have it, Cherie. It's all mine. All right, so I've got my block clean. Got the Tahitian Tide out of the way. Pop that away. All right, couple of other things to do. I've got a stamp set here because there's no, if you might notice, there's no words in this set. So if you need sentiments, you're going to have to go looking in a different set. So tonight I'm going to use this one that says, "The good things in life are better with you." And that's from the Tasteful Touches stamp set. This set is retiring. It's on its way out. It's still available though. And I checked and I believe it is half price from memory. So that's a bit exciting. I think it was 40 and it's down to 20, but let me quickly check for you because that's the sort of thing I don't like to give you the wrong information. 1 second. It's a nice set and it's got some nice words. The flower's nice, the feather's nice. It's a nice little set. All right, into my status report to tell me what the stock levels are like, looking at my retiring stuff. And it's on page 111 of your annual catalogue, the current catalogue, if you're looking for it. And it is still there. It's called Tasteful Touches. It's 50% off. Not was $40, now only $20. Okay, so it's a really good price. And we've still got quite a few really good bargains sitting in that online store, the last chance items. I just realized that I should have brought over a couple more blocks. Yeah, this one's the right size. There we go. And I'm going to use my Starry Sky for that. Looks good. And we'll pop that down towards the bottom here. The good things in life are better with you. It's a nice stamp, isn't it? I like it. All right. Let's move that. Then, oh, I do need my Tahitian Tide again. Let me quickly find that. All right. I'm just going to use a blending brush because you know how I am with blending brushes. Love, love, love them. You've made lots with that stamp? Yeah. Oh, hey, Ellen. Nice to see you there. Sorry, I wasn't watching. I was too busy looking up the stock report. When it's dried, I don't know. What do I say? Oh, about having the chocolate all for me. Yeah, sorry about that. I could mail it to you, but, you know, I don't know that it would arrive in one piece. So I'm just going back through and seeing what comments I missed. I'm so sorry. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked the card. Thank you so much. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to start off the page here. I'm putting on some Tahitian Tide, and I'm going to rub this on, and I'm going to go almost down to the mountains, but not quite. Just sort of circles, and then you can see I've got a bit more ink over this side, so I'll even it up a little bit. There we go. That's looking kind of cute. Got a bit more in the middle, like that. And that looks quite nice by itself. But of course, if you can notice on my original card, I did use a bit of the Starry Sky over the edge as well, because I thought the two would look really nice together. That might answer your question about what happens when you put the colors together. So I'm just going to use a little bit, and as you can see, it's quite dark. So we start off the edge and then just go a little bit over. I'm going just sort of over the edge and over the corners to darken up the edges. A little bit more. There we go. It's looking kind of nice. It gives it a really nice kind of feel. I like the way it turns out. And it's quick and easy. Can you see that it did not take very long to do this card? So just a couple of stamps, one on the acetate turned over to give you the reflection. Okay. I just noticed that my line's a little bit crooked. But that one's much more straight. Let me just see if I can even that up a little. Yeah, that's better. That's better. All right. So then I'm just going to, I've got a piece of Starry Sky cardstock. Isn't this a gorgeous color? Look how beautiful this blue is. This is the darkest of the new colors. So let me pop this on. Use my bone folder over the edge. And I'm going to pop some Tombow on the back of this. There we go. I'm just seeing if I've missed any comments. Oh, I'm glad you like it. You're very welcome. See, aren't you glad you asked me to do this technique now? And I'm glad you did too, because now I've also, not only have I got cards to show you tonight to give you what I hope you were looking for, but I've also got a class projects now to use for my classes this month. So thank you. I love it when you guys request stuff. It actually helps me. So they do look a little bit different, these two cards. This one's got the Tahitian Tide is standing a little bit more, a bit lighter, and this one it's mixed with the ink here a little bit more. If I had waited a little bit longer, I would have got less. It would have been more like this. So this one, there was probably more time between my stamping and when I used my water paint over the top. That's the only difference really, but I think they both look good, and it is a really, really nice technique. Okay, so this is with the acetate to give you a sort of little bit blurry, bit of an indistinct look. Okay, but what happens when you want to, Cherie already knows the answer, what happens when you want to get a really definite look? You want it to be much more distinct. And I want to show you, I've been playing around with, so this is a different way of using a mirror image. Okay, I played around with a few things. There's some deers here. You can see they look a little bit different because this deer, this is a more solid stamp. Okay, whereas if you're using, let me find the other one. This one is finished, or not finished, but it's on its way to finished. But you can see I stamped my two deers as a mirror image here. Okay. We never want to make the same card twice, though. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope we don't do that. See, there you go. All right, so this is a different way of doing it, okay? This is actually allowing me to get a much more distinct line so I could color with my blends. It's a line drawing stamp rather than the kind that we used before for the scene. So I did a few attempts today. This one was actually a fail, and I knew as soon as I did it, I knew what I did wrong, and maybe we'll get to looking at that as well. Also, this one on the back here, I don't know if you can see, this one I smudged in, and I know how I did that. So I have done this technique before, but not for a really long time. And so it was good to get it all out again. And remember, for this technique though, for this version of it, you're going to need your Stamparatus. Now you can stamp without the Stamparatus. You can just stamp. I've seen it done where people, I'm going to be using a silicone mat, and I've seen it done where people just stamped straight onto the mat and then turned it over, because you can actually see through the mat when you put it down. Can you see? You can see this mountain here. So this is actually transparent when you're using it for a bit of stamping. So you can stamp on one side, turn it over, and put it straight down. Okay. However, the problem with that is if you stamp on your mat once, you don't get a really clear line. Your stamp should be pretty inky, but it doesn't give you as good an image as it should. Okay. So a couple of things to note. If you are using photopolymer stamps, like the clear stamps, like the deer in here, okay, you're going to need the mat. You're going to need the mat that comes with the Stamparatus. You've got to use that, right? It's going to raise it up to the right size. If you're using a rubber stamp, like the deer in here, okay, then you don't want to use the mat, because there's already cushioning with your rubber stamps. They've already got that cushioning in there, okay? It's built in. So let's pull out our deer, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. All right. Now I'm just going to use a piece of basic white card tonight, and I'm going to make sure that that's right into the corner. It's pushed as far into the corner as it will go, and that's, oh, absolutely. Every card is different. So true. So true. So when you push it right into the corner, that's giving you the perfect positioning, and that's what you want, okay? So I'm going to decide where I want my deer to be, and if I want him to be kind of over here, so I've got room over this side for my second deer, so they're going to face each other. That's going to work, all right? So what I would do then is I would bring over my Stamparatus plate, which is on a hinge here, give it a push, and that's going to pick up the stamp. Pick up the paper as well, but that's because I still have a tiny bit of ink on that, I think. I find when they're dry, they do stick, and I've actually got a mark here, but that's okay. I'm still going to be able to show you the technique. That's because I have ink on my fingers. All right. So your ink is important. It must be water-based ink, okay? But not StazOn. It can't be StazOn. It won't work. You need this to be able to get lots and lots of ink on it. And StazOn's only going to give you. Hey, Sandra, how are you? Nice to see you. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to ink this up, and we're going to stamp it. You can put your magnet on if you want to, but because we're just pushed into the corner, it's not as important, not as imperative. Let's snap that. And as you can see, it's given me a beautiful clear image. That looks great. Okay. Now I want my second deer to be facing the other way. So they're going to end up like this. Okay. They're going to have two deers facing the same opposite directions. So to do that, I need to take this away and instead bring in my mat. Just make sure your mat is clean. Okay, you want it to be, you know, if you've been using it for glue, because that's what we use these for quite a lot, then you want to make sure that it's completely clean. And I've got no cat hairs on it. There's one right there, and it's an orange one. Who'd have thunk? An orange cat hair, a little bonus. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to ink this up again. I'm using Early Espresso, but you can use whatever water-based ink color you would like to use. And we're going to stamp it this time on the mat. All right, so I'm going to bring that over. Now I'm going to do it just once to show you the difference. And I'm going to do it on, I'll do it on a spare piece of paper. All right, let's pick that up. And what's going to happen is, oh, hang on, that's shimmery white. I don't want shimmery white. I want just normal old white. All right. I'm going to put this as the side is stamped on. I'm going to turn it over, face it down, and it's going to then be facing the other way. Now, I made a bit of an error when I first started doing this, was I would put my fingers over it and rub over the back of it, and that did transfer the ink, but the problem was it also blurred the lines a little bit, which is what happened to that one that you saw. Instead, put a block or something bigger over the top and just push it down and give it a good old push as if you were stamping. Okay, because if you move your fingers or even move the stamp over it, it's easy to blur the line. Right, now that's how it turned out, and it doesn't look too bad. All right, let's have a look at it. But can you see it's a little bit light? Whoops, hang on, let's put it so you can actually see it. Right, it's a little bit light, but it works. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back in the Stamparatus, back into the corner again, because that means that that's going to stamp in exactly the same place again, because it's right back pushed into the corner. And that is why you use the Stamparatus. If you didn't have to have it perfectly placed so you could ink it up several times, you wouldn't need the Stamparatus. But that's what you need it for, so you can get lots and lots of ink on it by inking it up several times, because that's going to give us a better finish than the one we just did. So let's give that a push. And you can see it's a little darker now. And I'm going to do it again. I usually do it about 3 times. You could do more if you were really worried, but 3 times seems to give me a pretty good look. And again, so now we've inked him up 3 times in a row, and that has transferred quite a bit of ink, and it's getting a bit more distinct. All right, so now we do this again. Let me see, I'm going to put it onto this one. And I'm going to switch it over. So now he's facing the other way. Now, when you get close down, can you see the other deer there? So it's easy to position him because you just position him next to the one that's already there. And you can see both of them next to each other. Let's put this on. So you can see this is quite a different technique compared to what we did before. Before was just acetate, and we didn't really care if it was distinct or not. This time we do care. Okay, and it's a little darker again. Okay, still not 100% as dark as the other, but pretty good. Okay, obviously if you wanted to keep going you could, but once you've stamped it, it's going to be hard to get that in exactly the same place unless we use the Stamparatus. So anyway, I wanted to show you what they look like, and then I colored it in, added some grass, I added some sponging, the same as what I did to the top of the mountains, and I think it looks pretty good. So this is not quite finished card, right? Now, I do want to show you one more thing, and some of you may have seen me do this. Last year we had some paper, okay? Do you remember we had the Peaceful Deer paper? Peaceful Prints it was called. It was in, it was in the celebration offering that came out middle of last year with the holiday catalogue. Does anyone remember? And there was deers, and there was checkered patterns and a whole bunch of different things. Did that help, Jody? Is that useful? I hope that's what you needed to know. Okay. So I would go ahead and I would colour this in, all right, and get it the way I want it to look. But we have a punch, okay? Now, let me grab the punch, if I can find it. This is the Peaceful Deer punch, okay? Now, if I wanted to punch out this deer here, I'm not going to punch him out, because let me punch out one that I can actually, maybe I'll just do this one. All right. Actually, I need to go a little closer to the bottom so I can reach it with my punch. All right. So I've got my 2 deers here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to line that deer up. So I find it easier to keep an eye on his feet and make sure his feet are all lined up, and then the top is easier. Right, and there he is. You would colour him in, do whatever you wanted to do with him. That's just done with the stamp. That's easy. But what about this guy? We can't punch him out. Does that mean we have to cut him out by hand? Well, you could if you like fussy cutting, but you can't cut him out with the punch because he's facing the wrong way. Okay, so some of you may have seen me do this before. I'm going to grab a piece of copy paper. Copy paper out of the printer, okay? And I did make a video about this in, I think it's like, I think it might be July last year. I'll get the date for you if anyone wants to watch the full video, so you can watch this anytime you like. Okay, I'm just going to cut this piece of copy paper into, this is 1/4 of a piece, okay? And what I'm going to do, this copy paper is good because it's thin, and we need something really thin to go to punch this out. I'm actually going to fold my quarter piece of copy paper in half. See this here? All right. Now, I need to make sure that my deer that I'm going to punch out is on like a strip of paper, like this. All right. Because what I'm going to do is, I've just got to remember how I did this. Okay, I want to go through both layers. You've got to be a little bit careful when you do this because it's really easy to catch as you're trying to take it out. So what we want to do is go through both layers. All right, so now I've got 2 deers. You see that? 2. And then very carefully take this out. That's the trickiest part, is getting it out. You don't want to break it or mess it up as you. Of course, now I won't be able to. Let's see how long it takes me to get it out of there. When I did this in my video, it turned out perfect, thank goodness. But then I wasn't live either, was I? Here it goes. There, I've got it. All right, can we see that? All right, so it kind of was a bit tricky to get out, but now I have that I just did. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over so that now my deer is facing the other way, and I'm going to put this over the deer that I want to punch. All right, so it's like I've made a little template. Probably should have picked a different color paper, but I wanted to use copy paper because it needs to be thin. All right, so I'm putting this so that it falls just over the top of my deer. Oh, have I got it? Have I got it good? I think I do. Just. All right, that's not bad. All right, so it's pretty good. We can see the legs, and I've realized that I just need to push that up a little bit. Okay, like that. Hold it, okay, and then turn it over. Right, so now see you've got this deer here. We line, can you see it? We line this one up with the original. Oh, I should have used darker color paper that I'd stamped on. It would have been much easier for you guys to see. And I'm going to line that up and go through the 3 layers and pull that out again. Oh, I did it again. You'd be thinking, oh no, that's too hard. Watch my video, guys. It's actually really easy, but I'm struggling tonight for some reason. I'm like butterfingers tonight. Here it comes. All right. There he is. I've got one. And there's the other. I missed it. See that? I missed it because I didn't line it up properly. Never mind. I hope you get the idea. The one on my video is perfect. The link to the video. Hang on, let me find it for you. Hey, Kathleen, nice to see you over there. Now, Cherie, you said that's the link to the video. Let me just see, did I miss it? All right. I will put that link up for you. I know I found it earlier. Here it is. I found it already because I had it up fairly recently because I was looking at it today myself. All right, I've got it. And let me put this into the chat for you. Okay, I've just popped it up. Okay, so you'll be able to see it on the screen right now, I think. Did it work? There you go. There's a YouTube link on the screen, and it's also in the chat if you want to copy it. So much, much better demonstration than I just did. See, no one's perfect, right? This is where you guys get to laugh at me because I messed that up completely. Oh, well. It did work. It was my own fault, Judy, for I didn't use the right color paper. If I had used if I had stamped it on a piece of, I don't know, crumb cake or something like that, instead of doing white and then trying to use white copy paper, then I would have been much more able to see exactly where I was going, and you guys would have been able to see what I was doing, and that would have been a better demonstration. So that would have made a lot more sense. I know exactly what I did wrong, but that doesn't help us right now. It is a good technique and it's a great tutorial. We have now done our deers in different. So we've got these two, and I'll bring this one up because this is the finished result so you can see what it would look like if we do our two. So one is trying to get a more distinct image, and that's when I use my Stamparatus to be able to ink it up several times to get plenty of ink on it. And then the other one was when I want an indistinct image, like in water. When you're doing that, then acetate is really great. And you could, if you wanted it to be even lighter than this, you could actually like blotch your acetate on the page on your scrap paper before you put it on, and that would be even lighter again. Okay. Well, that's good because that's what you get, right? You don't get perfection, you get inspiration. And I'm so happy that you guys feel that way. Now you can rewatch anytime, and you can also check out that YouTube video because that shows you exactly how to do the punch technique I'm talking about, how to turn your images around. And it doesn't just work with the deer. You can do it with any images if you want to reverse them. If they've got a punch to match, you then can use your punch with those by using that technique. So, oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, guys. And I'm so glad. I really love how this card turned out. I think that's this mountain set really is called Mountain Air. It really lends itself to these kind of reflections, but so does any scene. So the other one I pulled out and didn't end up using, but this would also work, Grassy Grove, that would work really well as well. So, you know, you could do something where you'd have reflections of the trees and this little mound here, or these little trees, and the deer, of course. So there's a few things there that you can do. So I hope that's helpful. It's only 8:15, guys. We've done really well tonight. Does anyone have any questions or anything that you would like to ask me while I'm here? Because I've got like 10, 15 minutes that I can give you if you'd like to. Do you have time to do another? Ugh. I guess I could. My son will be happy not to have, mind you, he really wants me to be late so he can sit down and eat a meal. That's what he wants. What shall we do? Do you mean another with this kind of technique, or do you mean, I mean, I can do the same sort of thing in different colors, or, yeah, if anyone has a go at this technique, I would love to see what you come up with. Feel free to post them in my VIP group for those of you who are members of the VIP group. If you are in Australia and you're not a member of the VIP group, click over there. I can post the group link. Any advice on the blender brushes? I sure can. Sally, the blending brushes are my favorite thing at the moment. They are absolutely my favorite tool. Yeah, we could do the Grassy Grove one. Well, let's do both those things, and let's do it real quick. Let's have a bit of a play. Let me see. I've got some more acetate here. I think this one would lend itself well to the acetate one because I don't think it matters. If we're going to be reflecting in water, then that is going to work really well. Let me just see if I can clean this up, or if I need to get a new piece of acetate. Oh, that's not going to clean it. That's a Stamparatus, not a stamp cleaner. Goodness me, what's going on with my brain tonight? Nobody knows. One of those nights, I think. I slept in this morning too. That's not like me. I'm just going to clean it off. So I'm just going to clean my acetate on here. You could also use a chamois or a baby wipe, and that'll clean up quite nicely. And we can use it again. So you can use them over and over again. You can still got a little bit of ink on there. Just get that off. All right, let's see what we can do. And I'm thinking maybe a little bit of, we'll go with our shimmery white again, I think. Here's another piece of shimmery white. I always have a few pieces of paper next to my desk, so, you know, next to where I'm working, so that, you know, if we're going to do something extra, that we can. It's easy enough. And I'm deciding what colour. Thinking Evening Evergreen might work really well. And I'm using, this is block H, is it? No, block I. This is block I for this. So very similar to what we did before, I think. Or yeah, I think maybe this colour. But anyway, we'll find out in a second. If it doesn't work so well, then actually I'm going to go a little bit lower down this time. And no, I might just leave it like that. And I'm going to use block D. This is a nice set too. I haven't used it nearly enough. It's one of those sets that I think has a lot of uses. All right, so let's start with the big one and that piece of acetate that I just had a moment ago. Here we go. Let's try that. And you were asking about blending brushes, Sally. Well, we can do that. So I can choose whether I want to go with this full strength or whether I'm going to actually tap it off onto my plate to get rid of a little bit of the colour. So it's going to be a little bit more light down here in the water, because this is where the water is going to go. All right, so it's kind of an echo of what's gone on above, but not distinct, which is exactly what I want. And then I've also got, I'm going to get a second piece. Actually, maybe I'll just use the same piece. And I just thought, you know, something else you could use apart from acetate. I don't know. Let's see if this works. You said you're not after perfection, right? So let's try this. Let's try doing it on the block. I don't see why not. It's like an acetate surface, right? And then turn that up the other way. And yeah, that kind of works. You can see the echo of those down below. All right, so let me pop that away for a second. Let me clean this up. And because it's quite a quick technique, you don't need much special equipment for it. You know, unless you're using the Stamparatus. Take the link away. Yep, sorry. Thank you for reminding me to do that, because I always forget. All right, so let me decide what color I want to work with next. I'm thinking, what would be a good color? I want my water not to be too blue. It's not like, I don't want it like a Tahitian tide. That's going to be way too blue. I'm thinking maybe this will be dark, but let me try this. Let's see if we can dilute navy enough to get a good look. We'll test it first before we go on to the project. Let me drip some water through this. Let's see. Misty Moonlight would be another one, but Misty Moonlight has kind of gone now. It's very sad. I think you can still, last time I looked, you could still buy the ink pads, but I think that's about it for Misty Moonlight. I don't know if it's still in. All right. So you can see it's kind of picked up a little bit of the green in the water there, which I think looks good. I like that. It's a darker look. Now, I also think that there's quite a bit of white in here, and I don't want that. get rid of this blue off here. This is a really great way to kind of give you a bit of fun with your stamps without, you can get a bit creative, feel a little bit arty. Some more water dripping through here. And this time I'm going to use some soft succulent because it's a much lighter green. And I'm just going to pick up some of that. I'm just going to fill in some of that so it's not quite so sparse. Not so, what's the word? I'm trying to think. I can't think of the right word, guys. I'm just having one of those nights tonight when my brain doesn't want to work properly. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, that's what we have. All right, I've got some soft succulent here. Actually, I don't know that I do want soft succulent. Let me try. For those of you who do still have Misty Moonlight, or if there is still Misty Moonlight in the Stark, that's the one I wanted. Thank you. I just can't think of the right word. Like I said, my brain's just not working properly. All right. All right, so we're going Misty Moonlight, and I'm just going to ink that up a little. And what you want to do with your blending brushes, Sally, are you watching? When you've got your blending brushes, you come down and you don't go quite to the skyline. So it's almost like you've got a bit of a halo over the top. Almost like there's, I don't know, like dawn or a sunset or something like that. A bit of twilight going on over on the edge. And that looks really nice. Okay. Yep, stark was the word I wanted. I was thinking Spartan, which also probably would have worked, but that's the word that came to my mind. Now I'm going to go in with my navy ink and I'm going to do the corners. And I'm going to, so here's the trick, Sally, when you use your blending pens, you want to start generally off the page and work your way on. So if I was to start right here, because I want to, up near the top here is where I want the navy, but if I start on the project, I'll get a blob of navy where I first hit the page. So instead you start off the page, circles, and then take your circle onto the page. And then you don't get that line of, that blob of ink. Start off, work your way on. And if you work in a circular motion, you're always going to get a better result. So in the corner here, off and then on. And I suggest practicing with them. The other thing is I keep, like, this will always be my blue one. This one will always be my green one. Some people clean them. I believe you can use them, clean them under a tap. I have tried with a couple. I never get them completely like they were, but instead I tend to just keep, so you can see this one's been used for Bermuda Bay and turquoisey colors. I've got another green one here. I've got a dark green one here. So you can see you can have a bit of a play and use different ones, but I tend to keep the same color for that color. And it doesn't, I don't mean like navy or a specific blue. I mean, I keep blue for blue and green for green as a general rule. All right, that's looking kind of nice. What do we think? Do we like it? Sparse would work too. Yep. You guys are just like having my own private thesaurus. See, there's another big word. All right, I'm liking it. It's looking really good. So can you kind of see we've got this indistinct kind of a reflection? So it kind of does look like a reflection here in the water. These guys definitely look like they're reflected down here, but it's not really distinct, and that's what we get when we use the acetate technique. Does that help, Sally? I hope that, I don't know that I did enough. Maybe I need to do a video just on the blending brushes because they are absolutely my favorite tool, and I think they're so cool. I just love them. So I'm deciding whether I put a sentiment in the sky here, because I could put navy, a sentiment on here and it would stand out, or whether I come over the bottom here and put a banner across the bottom. Not sure which way to go. What do you guys think? Do we think we would like to do something with this? You like this one, Ellen? Oh, thanks. And not bad for something we just threw together, right? The mirror cards are fun, and they're something that, you know, is a little bit outside the ordinary as far as a way to use your stamps. No sentiment, Ellen. You like it just the way it is. Yeah, I like it. It turned out really nice, even though it's very simple. Bottom tag, says Christine. You put that one in a frame, Katrina. Well, you could, I suppose. And look, I didn't even know I was going to make that card. You guys made me do it. That's true. Not every card does need a sentiment on the front. See, we've got all the opinions. We've got no sentiment. We've got a sentiment in the sky. We've got a sentiment at the bottom. Yep, they are good for masculine cards. This is a really good technique for guys. And I don't know, maybe it's the sort of card that I don't expect. I never know how guys feel about cards. Like, some guys really appreciate them, but other people, it's just a card and they throw it in the bin. So I don't know. I try to only give cards that have got a bit of work in them. I tend to give those to people who I really think are going to appreciate them. Sky, if you had to choose. Oh, birds. Good idea. Let's do birds. On the horizon. Where's my on the horizon set? I just had it for a class, so I have it in my bag. Give me 1 second and I'll grab it. Birds is a great idea, Jody. Then we definitely can't put a sentiment in the sky because we're going to have birds in the sky. Jody said birds, so we're doing birds. Why do I never think of birds? Now, the one thing with these birds, this is the On the Horizon set. Can I just let you guys know, I've just done classes with this set this month, and I absolutely love this whole suite of products. This suite of products is not going into the new catalogue, which means it is going to retire from our mini catalogue, which will be in June. So I don't know, I don't know if it'll last to the end of June because it may sell out first, but definitely, if you love it, you want to grab it before we get to that stage of things. Let me see. Grab this and give this a clean. And then this will have to be the last, and I better go get my boy before he thinks I've forgotten him. He won't. He'll just be happy that... Right. It's very easy to get these birds upside down, so you have to double check. I look at it and go, yeah, that looks right, but then I turn it up the other way and go, making sure that looks wrong, because sometimes if you look at it this way, it doesn't look bad because not all of them look upside down. But when you look at it this way, you go, yeah, okay, all of them are definitely up the right way. Let me go in with my navy ink. You could also use black for these. All right, got that inked up. And I think we should have them going off to the side here, which will mean no sentiment in the sky. Look at that. Do we like that? It kind of completes it, doesn't it? Yay, it looks good. All right, I'll pop this one up. We did 3 cards. Well, no, we did. We did 2 cards tonight, and I showed you a 3rd card with that other technique. So there's a few different ways of doing it, but you know what? Not all of them, but you are right. A lot of them. No. I knew where it was. I didn't lose it again. All right, this would look nice with a base of the Misty Moonlight or navy. You could even use it, you know, one of the greens, but I think I would prefer it with one of the blues, to be honest. So there we go. Okay, so there we go. All of our cards tonight were fun. I really like how they all turned out, and I have you guys to thank because I would never have done these if I had not been requested to do them. So if anyone has any requests of things that they would like me to do, please just sing out. Let me know either by message or let me know on my private page, the VIP page, or whatever you would think. I'm so glad you guys liked them. That made me happy, and I hope you had fun tonight. We'll see you next Friday night. And for those of you in my team, I will see you tomorrow morning at 10. And I hope you all had a great weekend and have a really, really beautiful Anzac Day tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.